back, everyone, to Diary of an Empath. So, today's show, I have been wanting to do an episode on sleep for the longest time, probably since I started this podcast. I've been looking for the perfect guest to do this because this is something that I struggle with. And I know that there's a lot of you listening who struggle with this as well. My next guest is Olivia Arezzolo. She is Australia's #1 sleep expert. She has been seen on media outlets such as The Today Show and Forbes magazine. She also is the author and the best-selling sleep book called Bear, Lion, or Wolf. She helps people around the world get a better night's sleep. Olivia, yes, and I saw the book and it is doing so amazing. So I love that you really focus on sleep because it is something that I have really struggled with for a long time. And one thing that I was reading about you is you really had this kind of transformation when you were younger. So I'm really curious. First of all, thank you for being on this show. I'm very humbled. And I'm just
Oh,
curious as to what your background is and how you got into this niche of sleep and what made you so intrigued with it.
thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and
Well, first
sharing
of all, you're in
advice.
Australia, right?
I know, right? I'm ahead of time.
Yes, love it, love it.
um, so my background and the transformation that you're speaking about. So when I was in my teens, suffered really bad mental health problems, including depression, anxiety, and anorexia, including like hospitalizations.
Wow.
And I remember there was this one time when I was in hospital and I wanted to go to a birthday party, but I wasn't allowed because I was too unwell. And it dawned on me that if I didn't get better, that I would miss out, not just on that birthday party, that I would miss out on everything. And I realized it just was like a real a real sliding doors moment. I really just saw, I was like, which path am I going to go? And I thought, you know what, I don't want this to be the rest of my life, revolving hospital doors, things like that. And so I just thought, well, if I gave as much energy to getting better than I did to staying unwell, then I would actually get better. So I really, from that, I just gave it my all of my energy and gave, leveraged all of the support I could, and listened, and took all of my recommended treatments and therapy sessions and everything. And I did get better, which was great. And from that, I realized, like, I wanted to be that, to help others achieve the same, because I remember how bad it felt, but I also remember, and then I was seeing how good it could be as well. I was able to live my life again. I was able to, share time with my friends, and I was able to, participate in life again and just be a normal human. And I realized I want that for everyone. So to complement my experience, I knew I needed to study. So I did a Bachelor of Social Science Psychology, a certificate of sleep psychology, a diploma of health science, nutritional medicine, and a certificate 3 and 4 in fitness, because I knew that although I didn't know exactly how it was going to help, if I studied and had like underpinnings of psychology and nutrition and sleep and fitness, then I'd be able to help in a really holistic manner. And that's always been my thought process, to help on a holistic level. So I did that, and then I was coaching in that space, like just in various spaces. And then I started having some sleep clients, and they got really good results really fast, which was great. And then I started speaking to other people about it, and I realized that everyone was struggling and no one was doing anything about it, and that there was a real need for somebody to be a guide in for sleep. So that's why I chose sleep, because it wasn't that my objective is to help people feel their best inside and out, but how they need that is via sleep. Because I'd been working in the wellness industry for like 10 years, or 8 years or so, when I started to get into sleep. And all that time it was very much like I was trying to give out. I was like, oh, let me help you with this. Let me help you with this. It was very much like I was pushing. But then as soon as I specialized, as soon as I started talking about sleep, it was like a blanket. It was just everyone was just like, help me, help me, help me, help me. And I was just like, wow, like, it was so clear that people really needed help. So I want to help people. People want help with sleep, therefore I help with sleep.
I love that. I love that you had this kind of pivotal moment, this pivotal moment of like I have to help myself or I'm going to continue down the same path. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of people. And I can relate in a lot of ways. When I was younger, I dealt with a lot of depression and a lot of just it's hard being a young adult. It's hard being a teen. And I
Yes.
think for me, I kind of had that same pivotal moment. I think for me it was more when I had my daughter and I'm like, okay, I have to change something.
Yeah.
So for you, just going back to what were you saying, what would you say that pivotal moment was for you? Was it
So,
that time when you were thinking about the birthday and just saying I
yeah.
got to do it, or was there something specifically that happened?
No, no, no. It was. I think it was that night, but also I was sort of just looking at myself because I was in this hospital ward, and there were other girls that were, like new girls, and then girls that had been there, multiple times. And I just dawned on me. I was just like, am I going to be one of those girls that just keeps on coming in and out, in and out, in and out, And because
Yeah.
they do like funny things, like um so it was an eating disorders ward, and so like it's horrendous in the public system, at least my experience with it was, because it's basically like they provide you very, very little psychiatric care, and it's really just about gaining weight, which I understand is important in recovering from an eating disorder. But the thing is that, like, psychologically they don't nurture that sequence. But the thing is that because it's a public system, they don't have the space to do that, because they know that if they don't beef you up enough soon enough, that there's another person that's literally going to die because there's not enough beds. So
Wow.
I understand that was the principle. So but it was really like distressing, because some of the girls were like, oh, I'm just going to get out and just like exercise, and I'm going to go back to doing this. And it's just like, I was like, I don't want to be
That's really
on that.
hard.
Yeah, like, I just, no, I want to go to my friend's birthday party.
Right. And you wanted a
you know
life. And I love that you
yeah.
found I love that you found a way to help others because sleep really is very underestimated. And I think that people don't realize the impact that sleep has on life. So tell me, what does sleep have in terms of impacting life if you're not getting enough sleep? Why do we need it? Why is it important?
So I think, so one of my first chapters in my book covers the key signs of sleep deprivation. So I'll draw upon that. So obviously fatigue is one. But another one is, you make more mistakes. So 29% of all workplace errors can be attributed to fatigue alone. Outside of that, loss of productivity. You're like 4 times less productive when you're sleeping less than 5 hours. You cognitively have an impairment in a brain region called the frontal lobe, which is responsible for decision making, judgment, emotional regulation, and time management. So you actually can't make clear, considered decisions. You are completely unable to use your brain effectively. And this is why, when we are sleep deprived, and I think a lot of people, they don't they don't notice it until it's really, really bad. But I'm sure that, if you've had sleeping problems, then you'll resonate with this. Like, you just can't even string a sentence together. Like, you don't know what day it is sometimes. Like, you'll be like, even for me, like, I remember there was a few, yeah, side note, side swerve. A few weeks ago, I was so excited because I've just launched an online program called Sleep School, and I've been working on it for like 6 months. And I was so excited that day that I literally slept for 1 hour
Well,
because I was
congratulations
just,
on the program.
oh, thanks, thanks. But I was just so excited that I just had like a thousand ideas and all of this. So anyway, so I slept for 1 hour, and then I woke up, and I was full of ideas. And then literally by like, so I slept from like 1 a.m. until like 2 a.m. And then by like 7 a.m., my brain was just mush. Like I was sitting in front of my laptop, and I couldn't even, like I was like, it was like I knew my brain existed, but I just couldn't get it to do anything. So
Right.
that's the cognitive side of things. Mental health is a really big one. So after one night of insufficient sleep, we have a 37% rise in a stress hormone called cortisol. This leads us to feeling anxious, wired, and unable to switch off.
It's so
So,
intriguing how even just the lack of sleep, how it can affect your day. And I know for me, it's so relatable because I was like a freaking robot. For a while, I was working full time, still doing my podcast, and still running a business, still working out, still dancing, and not stripper dancing. Just no judgment to anyone who does, but
yeah.
I was literally going on overload. And I was getting like maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then on the weekend I would crash 10, 12 hours. And now that I've slowed down, I still haven't fully gotten my sleep under control.
Mm.
And that makes me wonder, are there just certain types of people who are just more night owls and are just not morning people? Because I want to be a morning person. I know you talk a lot in your book about chronotypes, and I tested, and I think I'm a bear from what it
Mm.
tells me. And maybe I'm just not meant to be a morning person. I want to be a morning person, but tell me about chronotypes. What are they? Are we really just some people not morning people?
So we do have all right, I'll answer that in order. Chronotypes, what are they? It's a categorization system reflecting your inherent desire to sleep and wake at a particular time. Sounds fancy, but that's actually all it is. So it's that old age night owl, morning bird, and then there's a group in the middle called bears. But yeah, I term them lions are the early risers, bears are the ones in the middle, and then wolves are the ones who are late risers. Um, Overall, so like that's our underlying preference will be, one of those things. However, sometimes we don't get what we always want. And, you need to be a morning person because, you're a wolf and you want to sleep in until 8 o'clock, but you've got a job that starts at 5 a.m. And so how do you manage that? And one of the best things is to actually, you can shift into a earlier chronotype by following the recommendations for that chronotype. So, for example, like lions are encouraged to get up early, do exercise, eat a light meal, and then save their bigger meal for like lunchtime. That can help you shift into an earlier pattern because the f- so like exercise, for example, that stimulates an awakening hormone, our awakening hormones like adrenaline, and it suppresses our sleepiness hormone melatonin. So if that's something, if you're trying to shift into an earlier pattern, then looking at the recommendations that I have for lions and for that earlier pattern are going to serve you in order to shift into that earlier pattern.
So that's what I maybe need to start doing because on top of all of that, I was working out at night. Probably the worst thing that I can do for myself. It sounds like there's hope. So I'm trying to now shift my patterns into, getting into a better routine. So speaking of routines, how important is a nighttime routine? Does it matter? Is there specific tools that somebody can use if they are trying to improve their sleep?
Yeah. So the bedtime routine is like fundamental. Like it's there's no way around it. You can't have a bad bedtime routine and expect to have healthy sleep. It just doesn't work like that. I have a signature bedtime routine, which 100% of my private clients have used and seen improvements in their sleep in less than 7 days. So that's something that I definitely recommend. Um, it does vary a little bit by each chronotype, but overall, you can follow these recommendations, and if you want more information, just reach out to me. I'm sure we'll give some links in the show notes.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely, of course. So if you could
yeah,
pick one key thing at bedtime that somebody could do, if you had to choose one,
yeah,
what would that be, or what would that look like?
that would be to block out blue light by wearing blue light blocking glasses. So light is the
Okay.
number one factor to control the circadian rhythm, which means it's the number one factor to control your melatonin levels and your circadian rhythm. So melatonin is the key reason, it's a key hormone to help you fall asleep. So if you have more melatonin, then you'll fall asleep much easier. If you have less melatonin, you'll find it more difficult. What controls melatonin? Light. By wearing these blue light glasses, you don't have the same suppression of your melatonin levels that you would normally do if you're exposed to normal light.
So it sounds like light plays a big part when it comes to sleeping patterns.
Yeah,
So we talk a lot
it's
about.
the most important factor.
So what about morning then? Because we hear a lot about bedtime routines and how it's important, but are morning routines important? Because I think too, when we talk about, or when we even think about the fact that electricity hasn't been around that long in terms of our evolution, right? So, for the longest time, we were used to getting up with the sunrise, going to sleep with the sunset. Maybe you'd have some candlelight, maybe you would have some fire, but electricity really is rather new. So, how does morning routines affect sleep, and what would a good morning routine look like for somebody?
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to share. So, this is actually something that I cover in my online course, Sleep School. Um, but I'll give you guys a little sample now. So, a morning routine is okay, it's just behind the evening routine. And the most important thing of your morning routine is to be exposed to light. Now, if you are a lion or a bear, you need a minimum of 20 minutes in direct sunlight in the first hour that you're awake because the circadian rhythm is the most sensitive to light in the first hour. If you're a wolf who are typically more fatigued in the morning, or you're just finding yourself typically fatigued in general, then you need a minimum of 20 minutes, sorry, 40 minutes. If there's no natural sunlight available when you are getting up, then there's something called light therapy, which is like a light box. And you get it, and you literally just sit yourself in front of this light box, and it's bright sunlight, it mimics sunlight. And again, it acts as a Zeitgeber, so it's a factor to control your circadian rhythm, which in the morning, so it's the opposite of what we want to do in the evening. So in the evening, we want no light. In the morning, we want lots of light. Yeah, it's funny. Like I feel like I harp on about light a lot, but there's nothing more important when it comes to controlling your sleep than light, which is why we're having such problems now because these beautiful devices here
Hmm.
are full of light and
Absolutely.
we're constantly on them. And so our circadian rhythm is literally being sent signals to suppress melatonin 24/7 and to be alert and awake all the time. And so if you think about how many people do you know struggle to switch off, are feeling unable to fall asleep, waking through the night. There was a recent study that found that 78% of Aussies were kept awake through the night with random thoughts, and that 65% struggled to stay asleep. This is
Those are
the
high
majority.
numbers.
Yeah, this is the majority of people are struggling to sleep, and fundamentally, why that's happening is because we're constantly exposed to light stimulus, telling our brain, "Be alert, be awake."
I
So
agree.
there
And
are there. Oh, sorry. Good.
No, it's okay. I was saying I agree. I think that we're in a generation now too of social media, and that's really changed the game. Technology has changed everything. And I think too, and I completely I'm not surprised that these studies are coming out that technology is affecting the type of sleep we have. I'm guilty. I'm sometimes on my phone, and next thing I know, it's midnight. So it's not even the light exposure, it's that stimulus to my brain. And not even talking about the dopamine releases that we're probably getting by being on social media. And next thing I know, it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm
Right,
getting 5 hours of sleep. It's a
right.
problem. And
It is a problem,
I wonder, just not even Australia, worldwide, it's those numbers are probably like 20 times.
without a doubt.
And what about sleep quality? So we talk about how important it is for morning routines, how important it is for nighttime routines, but what about the quality of sleep? Why is it important for somebody to get good quality deep sleep? And if somebody is struggling with that, what are some tools that they can maybe do before bed to help get better sleep or a deeper sleep?
Mm-mm. So, quality sleep, very important because only when you get slow wave sleep, that's like deep sleep. That's when your body produces growth hormone, which is the key hormone to assist in cell repair and cell renewal. So after a day of wear and tear, our cells are tired. They need to replenish and refresh. Only when you go into slow wave sleep that you have that full replenishment experience. And for the late, oh god, sorry, um, and something for the ladies or guys who value collagen, um, growth hormone is the key driver of collagen. So like beauty sleep, like
Yes.
it's a thing because when we go into slow wave sleep, our bodies produce growth hormone, and when they produce growth hormone, they produce collagen.
So if your growth
So
hormone goes down, you age faster, it sounds like.
yes, yes. And you feel this is why after only a few hours sleep, you just feel really worn out. You haven't had enough cellular repair for your muscles to feel energized. So that's why you just feel really just rubbish and lifeless and you just feel like sitting around doing nothing. Because your body's like, I haven't had enough cellular repair. Um, that's one reason. Another reason why deep sleep is important is because you detoxify from a brain neurotoxin called beta amyloid. Beta amyloid 5% increases by 5% after one night of insufficient sleep, and a buildup of beta amyloid contributes to memory loss, brain fog, and long term, if it becomes plaques in the brain, is a sign of Alzheimer's disease,
Really?
which
I
is
need to really get better sleep.
you're like oh god.
Yeah, and that I did that's something new. I've never heard that. So that's really interesting. And I think for me, this was going on over a period of 2 years. I'm just now starting to make changes because I know it's a problem. And it's scary when you think about it because we really just don't realize just how imperative it is to get good quality deep sleep. Now, I was somebody who at times would take supplements, melatonin, or things to help me sleep. Sometimes I would have a glass of wine. Do supplements work?
Mm, some, not all, some.
Is it
Um,
something that can be taken over a long period of time, or is it something that is only good for short periods?
some. Melatonin, what the clinical research shows is that it's best for short term use only, 1 to 3 months. It's best to correct, like, say, if you, for example, you're shifting into a new time zone, really helpful for jet lag minimization, or also very helpful for shift workers. But ideally, it is short term. That's what the research indicates thus far. Magnesium can be very, very helpful, provided it's the right form of magnesium. Magnesium glycinate, biglycinate, diglycinate, and citrate are the best for sleep. So that's really important to look for in a magnesium supplement. Um, but I want to loop back to your second question that you asked me initially. what are some of the things that people can do, if you are looking to get better sleep. Honestly, again, number one, blue light glasses. Like I can't stress the importance of it. You can be having all the great supplements, have a great diet, be getting up really early, doing your exercise, cutting out food hours before sleep. But if you're not blocking out light, it's like it's like you're going to the gym and working out and doing all the exercises, and then you're going home and eating chocolate every day. It's just and you're not getting your gains, and you're like, what's going on? Like, you can do everything right, but if you're not doing the main thing right, then you're gonna have problems, like a lot of problems. So it's like, I'd actually rather you do just one thing, which is block out blue light and use blue light free glasses, than do all the other things, because the one thing that's going to make the most difference is light.
It plays a crucial part. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know that for me, like I'm on my phone, but I've never done the blue light. And I know that I'm looking at screens all day long. Work, podcasts, social media. I'm guilty of it. Now, for the blue light glasses, is this something that you should only block out after a certain time, or do you say all day wear them?
No, so the thing is that blue light's actually helpful for us in moderation. The thing is that, so these glasses in particular, the ones with the red lenses, and by the way, I have a recommended brand in my sleep kit on my website. Again, I'll show you I'll link you guys as well, and with a discount code, of course. Um,
Absolutely.
so these ones need to be worn for a minimum of 2 hours if you're a lion, 2.5 hours if you're a bear, and 3 hours if you are a wolf, or longer if you're having sleeping problems. So that's in the evening before bed. Throughout the day, when you're feeling too stimulated, it's really helpful to put on blue light glasses, because it so with so exposure to blue light produces awakening hormones like cortisol and suppresses melatonin. So when we reduce our exposure to blue light, we produce more melatonin, which helps us feel more relaxed. So throughout the day, if you are feeling if you are feeling too fatigued, then I would advise taking off blue light glasses. And then these are the digital lenses, like the ones with clear lenses. If you're feeling fatigued, but if you're feeling anxious and wired, then I would recommend putting them on. I've got specific recommendations in my book and in my sleep school as well. So um, it depends on what you're seeking and how you're feeling, more so than yeah, like more so than anything.
Okay. And what about naps? Because a lot of us too sometimes will feel very fatigued during the day. I know for me, I am go go go, and then around a certain time, 2 3 p.m., I tend to crash. And if I could take a nap, I would. Are naps good? Are they bad? Should we stay away from them?
So naps can be helpful. There was research by by NASA that found they boosted productivity by 34%, just a 26-minute nap, which was great. So they can be beneficial. However, you need to make sure that they follow my 3-step perfect nap plan, which is one, keep it short, no longer than 30 minutes. This prevents you going into slow wave sleep and that experience of sleep inertia when you wake up feeling really groggy. Step two is keep it dark. Wear an eye mask for reasons, as you can understand now. We're blocking out light, very important. And three is keep it early. So you want to finish the nap no later than 3:30. If you follow those steps, you can happily have a nap and it not impair your sleep. However, the biggest problem is we have long or late naps, and then they do impair our sleep, and then we're unable to sleep, and then the cycle continues.
So it sounds like naps are good, but the
Yeah.
timing of the nap matters. So
Yeah.
following a certain protocol, under 30 minutes, try to keep it maybe no longer than 26 minutes. It can be beneficial. Anything over that, you can start to impair, functioning or sleep patterns, throughout the day. So what
Yeah.
about sleep consistency? Because a lot of people tend to do the Monday through Friday. I don't know how it is in Australia. Here in the US, it's typical Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Weekends, oh, I can sleep in. Yes, I can sleep in until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And so the sleeping patterns are inconsistent, I think, for a good majority of the population.
Hmm. Hmm.
Is that bad? Should we be doing that? Should we be keeping it consistent 7 days a week?
Consistency is key. Yeah, what happens is melatonin is produced on a 24-hour cycle. So when you're having sleep-ins multiple days in a row, it's not a problem then. When it's a problem is if when you try and go to bed at your usual time, say like Sunday night, and then you try and get up at your usual Monday morning wake up time, which is earlier than your sleep in on a Sunday. So if because melatonin has been produced at say like so melatonin is produced while we're sleeping in the darkness, so that's been quite high when we've slept in on that Sunday morning until say maybe like 8 o'clock in the morning, right? So we've kept really tired, kept sleepy. Then come Monday morning, we're up at like 6. But yesterday at 6 o'clock, we were asleep. So our melatonin, because it operates on a 24-hour cycle, our melatonin levels are still really high. So Monday mornings, awful, really awful. Who hates Monday morning? Everyone,
Everyone.
right? Right? So that is one of the main reasons. Another reason why is because it delays your sleep that night. So on that Sunday night, you'll find it particularly hard to fall asleep at your regular bedtime and probably want to stay up late. And so you're probably not going to have as much sleep as you need on that Sunday night because what happens is the body produces a hormone called adenosine, which is a sleep promoting hormone. It's like melatonin, but it it just operates in a way that the more adenosine you have, the tighter you become, and the longer you're awake, the more adenosine you have. So by sleeping in, and the body has a certain threshold, it needs a particular amount of adenosine in order to feel sufficiently tired to fall asleep. So if you're only awake for say like 10 hours on the Sunday, like 10 hours, no, a bit more than that, right? 12 hours. So you've all right, say you've gotten up at 8 and then you try and go into bed at maybe not 8, 14 hours. 14 hours. Sorry. But basically, if you haven't been awake for enough time throughout the day, you don't have enough adenosine, therefore you don't feel sleepy and so you don't want to go to bed. This is
So it
these are two
disrupts.
yes, these are two reasons why sleeping is not advised, and if you are wanting to catch up on some sleep, take a nap.
Good to know. So yeah, it seems like consistency is needed. Light is very important, and even making those changes can really change the functioning of how we sleep. And I think that, a lot of us are just in this robotic cycle of 9 to 5. On the weekends I'm going to go out or I'm going to do this and I can stay up later cuz I don't have to work tomorrow, and it does really disrupt it. I'm totally
It
guilty of
does.
it. And I'm trying to be more mindful of, okay, getting up early on the weekends as well, not staying up late, but it is really difficult. And I
Hmm.
wonder, sometimes I ask myself, am I just the type of person who needs 10 11 hours of sleep because I'm doing so much? Are there some people who genuinely need more than the recommended 8 hours of sleep, and are there some people that really don't need 8 hours?
Yes. So remind me, you did my chronotype quiz on my website and you're a bear, right?
I'm a bear, yes.
Yeah. So bears typically need more sleep than wolves and lions. Lions need the least sleep, so they're generally okay on around 7 hours. Bears need like 8, 9, potentially even more sometimes. and then wolves fall somewhere in the middle. This comes back to our genes that code for our sleep needs, which also code for our our circadian preferences. So yeah, they're interlaced. But basically, there's a gene, for example, DEC2. Those with that gene sleep need 6.25 hours of sleep to feel rested, whereas those without the gene need 8 point, or sorry, a unique variation of the gene need 8.06 hours of sleep to feel rested.
Okay,
So it
so
really,
I might just need more since I'm a bear. I just might need more
yeah,
sleep.
bears need more. It also comes down to your sleep debt. So you mentioned, you'd been really running on empty for many years. This takes a long time for the body to replenish. And I think longer than we realize. And, we think that we're feeling good, but then you have like one of those really good night's sleep and you're like, wow, I haven't felt this good in ages. And it's just a reminder that you're how much sleep you actually need to have. Um, yeah.
Wow, that's good. So I am going to have to read your new book. So let's talk about this because you have a book, Bear, Lion, or Wolf. So tell me about your book. What drove you to want to write this, and what does it focus on? It sounds like to me it's focusing on those different chronotypes or different types, but what can somebody look for in the book if they're interested in getting more sleep?
So I think the first thing is learning about chronotypes and learning about the reasons why you may not have been able to sleep properly. So they're my sleep saboteurs. I think that's really valuable because I think a lot of people just don't understand why they're not sleeping well and they're like, oh, it's just stress. Yeah, stress is a sleep saboteur, but also it's light. Also, it's this. Also, it's this. Everything in the book I share, and I feel like that gives people a good understanding and just makes them feel like there's nothing actually wrong with them. Some people, I think, before they understand these reasons, just think, oh, I'm just a bad sleeper. Like it's just part of my identity. No, no, no. You're a bad sleeper because of XYZ.
Yes.
Like behavioral traits have a lot to do with our sleep patterns and override our genetic predisposition. So I think that's a really good takeaway from the book. Also, and I think more importantly, I give step by step guides for each chronotype in order to sleep better. So that's really valuable because I feel like a lot of people just don't know what to do. And, it's a step by step guide for your bedtime routine, for your morning routine, for your diet, for your supplements, for the alternative therapies that you should have. All of these things are specified in really, really you know, a great detail. And I think that's really helpful. And that's what's in my book. And then I also covered that in my online course, Sleep School, as well. So, depending on how you like to absorb information, I feel like both of them are really great platforms to get a really specific guide about how to sleep better. And as soon as you implement the strategies, that's when you start to sleep better. So it's really exciting because this is stuff I've been sharing with my private clients for years, and having like an online program people can just literally enroll in, or having a book that people can buy off the shelf, it's a lot more accessible beyond, just the time that I can give to people. So, um,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that because we really don't think about the impact that sleep has. And maybe that's why you're feeling anxious. Maybe this is why you're feeling fatigued. And maybe some people who are dealing with, you know, mood issues, or maybe they're dealing with anxiety or stressors, or they think that their energy levels are low because of other things, and it might really be related to sleep. So I love that this is like a step-by-step guide for them.
Mm.
And so I'll link everything for everyone to find your book and your website and your courses. I always I have a kind of tradition on my podcast where I ask my guests if you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would you tell yourself, your younger self?
Hmm. Make more space for friends and fun.
I love that.
Yeah, no, because I was just so focused on my goals all the time that, like, during my 20s, I feel like everyone else was having fun, but I was always just like being strategic and working and, thinking and planning and studying and all of this. And so, like, don't get me wrong, I'm 32 now and I'm getting it back. But, the I get we all get so much joy out of just simple things like, just hanging out with our friends and catching up for, at dinners at home and stuff like that. And I really didn't make space for that when I was in my 20s because I was just so focused on my work and my studies. And I feel like that I feel sad because that's like the joy of life, just those little moments, sharing a picnic with your friends or, you know, getting ready together with your girlfriends before going out. Like, that's such a joy. So I would say, Olivia, like, get out of your laptop, stop studying, and go and have some fun.
I think that's where I'm at now. I think I probably had too much fun in my early 20s,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
now I'm 36 now, and I probably don't have enough of it. And so that's a good reminder for me. That's why I always like to ask my guests, because I like to learn from them, and I know a lot of people listening are going to learn from this too. You dropped so many gems and so many nuggets, and thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for coming on the show. I'm so appreciative.
Pleasure. Pleasure. It's been such an honor to be here and share time and space with you. And yeah, I'm looking forward to everyone who has heard. I'd love to hear from them if they want to, pop into my inbox on Instagram. I'd love that. Similarly, with my sleep school, I'm happy to give you guys I'll share on the notes as well. I'll give you a unique discount code for your people, for your audience as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I'd be honored to have anyone who's listened to this in the course and, reading the book and, just connecting and sharing what they found the most valuable and, how I can support them ongoing. So thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. And we will link everything for everyone to find you, your Instagram, your website, and your book. So thanks, everyone. And if you like this episode and you feel that somebody needs to hear it, share it, tag both of us. We want to know, we want to hear. So thank you so much. And until the next time, see you on the next episode of Diary of an Empath.